Hey, howdy, hey. It's Gina here at the Library Mouse. And you know what? I think I'm going to start always introducing my channel that way. That is a running family joke because my grandson was about 2 at the time. My daughter and her family were living in Japan, and he came into the grocery store and there was a display of chicken nuggets. And he walked up to them and said, "Hey, howdy, hey, chicken nuggets." And so it's just a running joke in our family. And anytime we say hi, we're like, "Hey, howdy, hey." So yeah, hey, howdy, hey. I'm back for a book tag. I thought this would be a great way to jump back into doing my tag videos. I thought the questions were really fun, and I love to reminisce about the books that I loved as a kid. I've got little baby here. This is Casey. If you have watched any of my vlogs, you will know that I had trapped 3 feral kittens this summer. I did find a home for one of them, a little black and white runt. But I still have 2 boys. I have Kermit and Casey, and the Humane Society has been working with me to get them adopted, but so far no luck. They have been at every adoption event, and I've had to come back and pick them up. And they are the sweetest kittens. Anybody live in Rochester, New York, want a couple kittens? Hit me up. Anyway, childhood book tag. Let's get started. Okay, so this book tag was created by Fantastic Magical. I was not tagged by anybody, but I did see Pat do this over on her channel, Book Chat with Pat, and I just thought it would be fun to do, so I tagged myself. Anyway, here's the first question. Were you a big reader as a child? Yes. There's a kitten on my lap. That's why I'm laughing. Yes, I was. I read all the time. We had weekly visits to the library. We had book club. I had a lot of books of my own, and anytime I was bored, I was reading. Well, I don't think I ever got bored because I was reading, and my mother was not a reader, and I don't think she understands the draw of the story and the book. She always said she would just rather watch something on TV because books were just too much work. So she was constantly telling me, "Get your nose out of that book and go outside. Get your nose out of that book and go do X, Y, or Z." But yes, I was a very big reader as a child. Did my parents read to me, and if so, what? So, surprisingly, even though my mother was not a reader and not a book lover, she did realize the benefit of that, and she did read to us. She read to us mostly what most kids in the 70s had. She read to us little golden books. We had a huge collection of little golden books. This was a favorite. We actually had 2 copies of this, one for me and one for my sister. You can see I put my name in it. And then I was practicing writing my M's and N's in the back for Gina. But yes, little golden books, we loved them. My mother read to us a lot. This was another favorite, Peter Rabbit. And something about this book, I just loved the illustrations. I always rooted for the rabbit to get away. I always felt so bad for him. And this I got when I was, it says, Gina in 1968. I turned 4 in 1968, but it is falling apart. But yeah, this was a wonder book. This was another favorite. And then she did start out reading these to us, but then my sister and I, we were constantly reading this series of books. They were called Puppet Storybooks, and I did not love them because of the stories. I love them because of the pictures. So this is like a holographic kind of material. And then in the inside, they have puppets. And I love the illustrations. I have so many of these books. This is the one that I found I had pulled out for the grandkids. I'm sorry, there's a kitten moving my tripod. Anyway, yes, my mom read us picture books all the time. My dad did not read us books, but core memory is him reading us the Sunday comics every Sunday. He'd pull out the funnies, we'd get in his lap, and he would read all of them. Dagwood, Snoopy, Charlie Brown, he would go through all of them. There were some, like he skipped like Doonesbury. We didn't know what that was. But yeah, core memory is that Sunday funnies on my dad's lap. That's what we read. The next question is my first bookish memory, and that would be going to our city library. It was a huge old building. I remember very vividly walking down a grand staircase, marble-like steps to the basement, which is where the children's room was. And that is very much a standout memory. I loved that library. I continued to use that library. I took my oldest daughter to that library until they finally moved it out of that building and they built a brand new space for it, which I'm sure in the long run, there was a better facility. But that building with the woodwork and the marble stairs and just the balcony around the top that led off to different rooms that housed different collections was such a great space. They're using it for offices now, I think, but I loved that library. 4 is be honest. Did you read books assigned to you in school? Yes. I was one of one of those students. I just did what the teacher told me, especially in elementary and middle school. I would never have not thought of reading a book that was assigned to me. However, one book stands out to me, and that is the book Sounder. I think I was assigned to read it in 5th grade, and I did not like it. Not because I didn't like the story or I wasn't bored, but because of the dog. And my parents took me to see Sounder. I don't know if it was because I was reading the book in school, which I may have begged to go see the movie because I was reading the book in school. I don't know what year it came out, but I should have known better because I cried at the movie. I cried at the book. To this day, if an animal dies, I just don't want to read the book. It's not worth it to me. So, in high school, you will have, if you've been on my channel before, you've heard me rant about Moby Dick and how much I hate it. And I did not read Moby Dick when it was assigned to me. I probably got Cliff Notes, and I also did not read The House of Seven Gables. I did not like that book either. Where did I get my books as a child? Well, my parents bought me books, especially those little golden books. I was given books as gifts. Obviously, I went to the library, and my mother also signed us up for a children's book club, and it was all horse books. So one month, the horse book, hello Casey, the horse book would be mine, and the next month, the horse book would be my sister's. And that was fun. We had quite a collection of books growing up. Did I watch TV meant to inspire reading? The things that I watched that inspired me to read, shows that stood out to me as a kid was Zoom. If you're from the 70s, you should be able to sing that song and know that address in your sleep. But they did a lot of crafty kind of things, and it inspired me to like read more like crafty kind of books, building kind of books. The Electric Company, I can't say it inspired me to read. Hodgepodge Lodge was a show on PBS. All of these shows were PBS. Don't get me started about the defunding of PBS. All of these shows that stand out in my head, I would not have watched because they were on PBS. They were great shows, and Hodgepodge Lodge was a nature show, and it was hosted by this lady called Miss Jean, and every episode she, explored flowers and trees and foliage and animals, constantly animals. And it made me want to be a vet, but it made me want to read about the topics she selected. And then, Little House on the Prairie came out when I was in 4th or 5th grade. And I was so excited to watch that show. But that didn't really inspire me to read because I was already reading that series and I loved it. What stories or genres did I like? I loved books obviously about girls, old-fashioned. That's what I called it. I liked old-fashioned stories. I like stories that took place in the old days. So I love books like Little Women, The Secret Garden. When I was younger, I liked the Little Orphaline series by Natalie Savage Carlson. Love that series. I'll put a couple books here. I'd love to revisit that now. It was about a group of orphans who lived, I believe, in France. I really, really loved the Betsy Tacy books. I can't think, Betsy Byers maybe? I have to double check that. But most of the books that I like to read were books about girls who lived in the olden days. I did not read a lot of contemporary fiction when I was a kid. I just read a lot of old books. I read a lot of like Caldecott winners. I also loved my horse books. They were great. I loved books that were about dolls coming to life. So you're looking at Hitty, Her First 100 Years. I loved Little Plum. I'll put the pictures up. Yeah, anything about dolls coming to life, I really loved. My favorite children's book or picture book. I have a lot of favorites. I loved the, hang on, I need to find the exact word. Okay, I think the series was Little Bear. It is by Dare Wright, and she took the photographs, and it's a little doll, and she's kind of being raised by a dad bear and his little boy bear, and it's their adventures. And she had these dolls, and she would pose them and take their picture, and there's a whole series of them. It's the little doll. I think that's what it is. They're so good, and once again, I just loved looking at the illustrations. One of my very, very favorite picture books that I got time and time and time again from the library was The Little House. I loved the illustrations in it. I loved seeing how the house stayed the same, but the landscape around the house grew up until there was just a city surrounding the little house. That was always one of my top favorite picture books. As far as, I think the next question is my favorite chapter books or series. Let me just double check. Yes, so I loved the Little House on the Prairie books. I loved All of a Kind Family series by Sydney Taylor. I loved anything written by Louisa Alcott. So Little Women, Little Men. Like I said earlier, Betsy Tacy Tibbs series. I read some Nancy Drew. We had quite a Nancy Drew collection. I did read Nancy Drew. I was not much into Hardy Boys. Yeah, I think those were mostly the series that I read as a child. But, you know, I loved reading, and I would read the same books over and over and over and over again. I also would read cover to cover the set of children's encyclopedias that my mother got. She would go shopping at the grocery store, and every week there was a new book in the encyclopedia series. So, you know, she'd go shopping and then come home with the A book, and then next week she'd come home with the B book. And I would sit and read those encyclopedias and look at the pictures. I had them for a long time. Like, I took them with me when I moved out. I had them when we moved. I think I had them when I moved into this house, and I probably donated them. But this was a very fun tag. So if you're watching this and you'd like to do it and I don't tag you because I'm not quite sure who's done this tag, feel free to just do it and tag me so I can listen to your favorite childhood books. On that note, happy reading, and I'll see you on the next video.